Imagine standing at the altar, saying, "I do," only to expose your mother-in-law's plot to steal millions in ancient art during your wedding toast and annul your marriage on the spot. Ines did it. Hit like if you think that's the ultimate revenge, and you won't believe how it unfolded. I'm grateful to be here sharing my story, Eliza. It was a nightmare turned triumph, and I'm proud of standing up for my family's legacy. Let's get into the raw details of that day. I should have trusted that chill down my spine when Eliza's smile never reached her eyes during our vows. Standing here in my grandmother's restored lace gown, David's ring fresh on my finger, I watch my new mother-in-law glide through the reception crowd at Villa Esperanza like a predator who's just secured her prey. The Mediterranean sunset paints everything golden, but Eliza's satisfaction feels cold and calculating as she accepts congratulations from our guests. "Beautiful ceremony," she purrs to the Spanish cultural minister's wife, her voice dripping with false warmth. Ines looks so grateful. That word lands like ice in my chest. Grateful, as if marrying her son was charity work. I force a smile and wave at my cousin Maria, who's photographing the reception. She gives me a thumbs up, completely unaware that something fundamental just shifted in the 10 minutes since I said, "I do." The string quartet plays softly near the fountain, and the scent of orange blossoms from the villa's gardens should be romantic. Instead, all I can focus on is Eliza's predatory satisfaction as she watches me. David squeezes my hand, his touch warm and familiar. "You okay? You look pale." "Just overwhelmed," I manage, though my instincts are screaming warnings I can't yet name. 18 months ago, I was reorganizing the rare manuscripts section when this gorgeous guy approached my reference desk at the Universidad Complutense library. Dark hair, kind eyes, and completely lost trying to research 15th century Spanish trade routes for his dissertation. "I'm David," he said, sliding a crumpled paper across my desk, "and I'm drowning in primary sources." I laughed despite myself. "That's because you're looking in the wrong century. These documents are from the 1600s. See, this is why I need help." His smile was genuine, not the practiced charm I'd learned to recognize from guys who discovered my family-owned property in Madrid's historic district. We spent 3 hours diving through archives, and when he asked me to dinner, I felt that rare flutter of real connection. Over paella at a tiny restaurant near campus, I carefully mentioned my family keepsakes when he asked about my background. "My grandmother left me some old paintings and manuscripts," I said, deliberately vague. "Nothing fancy, just family pieces with sentimental value." I called them family keepsakes because I wanted him to love me for me, not for what my grandmother left behind. David's eyes lit up with genuine interest. "That's incredible. Family history is so precious. My mother's always going on about preserving legacy, though she means it more in terms of social position." The way he said it, with slight embarrassment, made me like him even more. Here was someone who valued substance over status, or so I thought. "Knock knock, darling." Eliza's voice cuts through my post-ceremony bliss as she sweeps into the bridal suite without waiting for permission. She's changed from her mother-of-the-groom dress into something more businesslike, and she's carrying a leather portfolio that makes my stomach clench. "Eliza, I was just touching up my makeup before." "Oh, this will only take a moment." She settles into the velvet chair like she owns it, spreading documents across the antique writing desk. "Just some paperwork David forgot to mention. You know how men are with details." The papers are already filled out, David's signature bold and confident at the bottom of each page. My name waits in blank spaces, and the header reads, "Post-Nuptial Agreement Asset Protection Protocol." "I don't understand," I say, though ice is already forming in my veins. "We didn't discuss a post-nup." Eliza's smile could cut glass. "Just a formality, dear. We must protect my son from your family's situation." My situation, the words come out sharper than I intended. "Well, you know how these old Spanish families can be. Debts, obligations, claims on property." She waves her manicured hand dismissively. "David mentioned your little collection of family trinkets, and we simply must ensure they don't become a liability." I scan the document, my library training kicking in as I parse the legal language. Asset transfer protocols. liquidation procedures, protection of marital estate. And there, in black and white, a list of my inheritance described as minor decorative assets of questionable provenance. My grandmother's treasures, the paintings and manuscripts that have been in our family for 5 centuries, reduced to questionable decorative assets. This lists my family's collection as minor assets, I say carefully. Exactly, so it shouldn't be any trouble to sign. Eliner's voice drips false sweetness. We're simply protecting everyone involved. I'm 8 years old, sitting cross-legged on my grandmother's bedroom floor as she shows me the hidden panel behind her wardrobe. Inside, wrapped in silk that smells of lavender and thyme, are paintings that make my breath catch. These belong to your great-great-great-grandmother, Mija, Abuela whispers, her weathered hands gentle on a small canvas. She saved them when the family fled north in 1492, carried them sewn into her skirts. The painting shows a woman in blue robes, her face serene and knowing. Even at 8, I can see it's different from the reproductions in my art books. The brushstrokes seem to glow. Is it valuable, Abuela? Valuable, she laughs softly. Mija, this was painted in El Greco's workshop. And this manuscript, she lifts a leather-bound book with careful reverence, was illuminated before Columbus ever dreamed of sailing west. Our family guarded these through wars, revolutions, and exile. Her voice grows serious as she takes my small hands in hers. Promise me, Mija, never let them take what makes us who we are. These pieces carry our blood, our story. They're not just art, they're proof that we survived. At her funeral 10 years later, the lawyer explained that the collection was worth approximately 50 million euros, but it couldn't be sold without proper documentation from Spain's Ministry of Culture. The pieces were registered as potential national treasures, protected by laws I barely understood. Now I understand them perfectly. Eliner, I say, setting the papers down with shaking hands, these documents authorize you to liquidate my family's collection. Well, yes, if necessary. She examines her nails like we're discussing the weather. David and I agreed that those trinkets should be properly appraised and, if needed, converted to more liquid assets. For protection, you understand. Protection from what? Oh, darling. Her mask slips just enough to show the calculation underneath. I've done my research. Your little collection may look impressive, but maintaining old art is expensive. Insurance, climate control, security, it's a money pit. Better to liquidate now while there's still some value. The casual cruelty in her voice makes my hands clench. You want to sell my family's heritage. I want to protect my son from financial drain. Eliner leans forward, her voice hardening. Those trinkets will be liquidated to protect the family's real assets, David understands, even if you don't. She pulls out her phone and shows me a screen full of text messages. David's name at the top, conversation after conversation about Ines's art situation and managing the collection responsibly. You see, David's been concerned about this for months, ever since I explained how these old family collections can become legal nightmares. Provenance disputes, tax implications, maintenance costs. She scrolls through messages that show my husband discussing my inheritance like a problem to be solved. When did you research my family? Eliner's smile turns predatory. The moment David mentioned your Spanish heritage, I had my genealogist investigate. Public property records, museum connections, cultural registry databases, it's amazing what you can discover. Your grandmother was quite careless about documentation, wasn't she? My blood turns to ice. She's been planning this since before David proposed. I need time to review these documents. Oh, but you don't have time, dear. Eliner checks her diamond watch. The reception starts in 20 minutes, and I've already coordinated the appraisal team. They'll need access tonight while you're on your honeymoon. Tonight? Well, yes, the sooner we secure everything, the better. She stands, smoothing her skirt. Sign now, and we can announce the good news during toasts. Or, her voice drops to something almost threatening. We can discuss this in front of the guests. Your choice. You seem hesitant, Eliner observes, pulling out a second phone. Perhaps this will help clarify the situation. She shows me a photo that makes my blood freeze. My house, my front door, and 3 men in uniform carrying equipment cases toward my entrance. Professional appraisal team, she explains casually. I've had copies of your house keys for months. Dear David thought it was such a thoughtful security upgrade. The teams have been ready for weeks. You have keys to my house. David gave them to me for emergencies, such a thoughtful son. She swipes to another photo, a moving truck parked on my street. Insurance purposes, you understand, can't have valuable items sitting unprotected. The timestamp shows the photo was taken 15 minutes ago. This is insane, I whisper. This is efficient. Eleanor's voice hardens. I've spent 6 months planning this transition. Background checks on appraisers, coordination with auction houses, legal documentation, logistics planning. Did you think I'd leave something this important to chance? She shows me more photos. Men photographing my grandmother's paintings, someone handling the manuscripts with white gloves, equipment being set up in my living room. They're in my house right now, securing assets that will soon be legally mine to protect. Eleanor snaps the phone shut. Sign the papers, Ines. The alternative is watching your precious trinkets disappear into legal limbo while David and I fight to protect them properly. My hands shake as I reach for the pen. Everything I promised my grandmother, everything my family died to protect, reduced to a signature on Eleanor's contract. But as I touch the pen, something cold and determined settles in my chest. Eleanor may have planned this for months, but she made one crucial mistake. She assumed I'd go quietly. 20 minutes after saying, I do, I'm cornering David near the champagne fountain, my heart hammering as I clutch the Ministry of Culture appraisal I keep in my purse, the one document that proves what Eleanor is really stealing. David, we need to talk, now. I pull him behind the stone pillar where the string quartet can't see us. Your mother, the papers she made me sign. Ines, you look frantic. He touches my cheek with genuine concern. What's wrong? I unfold the official document, my hands shaking. Those aren't trinkets she's having appraised. Look at this ministry certification. These pieces are worth 50 million euros. 50 million, David. Your mother is stealing national treasures. David's face goes through a series of expressions, confusion, disbelief, then something that makes my stomach drop. Recognition. Ines, he glances around nervously. My mother said you might say something like this. The words hit me like ice water. She said what? She warned me you might exaggerate the collection's value if you felt threatened. His voice is gentle but firm, like he's talking to a child. She said old Spanish families sometimes make dramatic claims about their possessions when they feel cornered. David, this is an official government appraisal, which could be fabricated. He won't meet my eyes. Ines, I love you, but my mother has been researching your family's collection for months. Professional appraisers, legal experts, genealogists, she knows what she's doing. The betrayal cuts deeper than Eleanor's manipulation. My own husband, choosing his mother's lies over documented proof. You think I'm lying to you, on our wedding day. I think you're scared and desperate, and that makes people say things. He trails off, but the damage is done. I fold the appraisal back into my purse, my hands steady now with cold fury. Your mother played us both, David, but you just chose her over me. During the appetizer course, I excuse myself to the villa's library and dial the emergency contact number on my ministry documentation. My hands shake as I explain the situation to Dr. Carmen Ruiz, the cultural preservation specialist who helped catalog our collection. Senora Montoya, if those pieces leave Spanish soil before registration, we may never recover them. Dr. Ruiz's voice is sharp with alarm. International art markets move quickly. Pieces disappear into private collections, get shipped to countries with different laws. How long do I need to delay transport? Legal protection requires 24 to 48 hours minimum. We need time to process emergency heritage status and coordinate with law enforcement. My heart sinks. I have hours, not 2 days. Then we escalate immediately. I'm contacting our cultural attachés. They have emergency authority to place collections under immediate protection. Can you get them access to the reception? The reception, hope flickers. Yes, Villa Esperanza, we have 300 guests. Perfect. Public witnesses make everything official. Expect attaches Martinez and Delgado within the hour. They'll appear as wedding guests but carry full legal authority. I hang up feeling like I can breathe again. Elena may have moving trucks, but I have the Spanish government. Through the library window, I watch her charming the Italian ambassador's wife, completely unaware that her perfect plan is about to meet Spanish cultural protection laws. Hold on, abuela, I whisper to my grandmother's ring on my finger. Help is coming. 4 hours after the ceremony, Elena finds me during the dinner break, her phone screen glowing with fresh photos that make my blood freeze. Such lovely images, she says, showing me pictures of my living room. But now strangers in white gloves are wrapping my grandmother's paintings in protective cloth, placing manuscripts in climate-controlled cases. Professional preservation, dear, nothing to worry about. The timestamp shows these photos were taken 10 minutes ago. Elena, you need to stop this. Those pieces are protected. Protected by what? A signature on a Post-Nup that gives me legal authority. She swipes to another photo, a man loading a wooden crate into a truck. I've been very thorough with the documentation, Ines. Everything is perfectly legal. She leans closer, her voice dropping to something dangerous. Sign the amended agreement giving me immediate access to all documentation, or I'll make sure David knows what kind of manipulative family he really married into. Amended agreement. She produces new papers from her purse. Full asset transfer, immediate liquidation authority, and a lovely clause about your unstable emotional state requiring family intervention. Her smile is pure venom. David's already worried about your dramatic behavior today. One more incident, and he'll sign the papers himself. The photos keep coming, my grandmother's jewelry being cataloged, books being boxed, even my family photos being sorted into piles. Everything that makes my house home reduced to inventory numbers. You're destroying my life. I'm protecting my son from a fortune-hunting Spanish girl who thinks old trinkets make her special. Elena's mask finally slips completely. Did you really think I'd let some librarian's granddaughter drain my family's resources with maintenance costs and insurance premiums? 30 minutes later, I find David on the villa's terrace, staring out at the Mediterranean. The sunset should be romantic, but all I feel is desperation as I show him Elena's photos on my phone. Look at this, David. Your mother has people in my house right now, removing my family's collection. This isn't protection, it's theft. David barely glances at the screen. Ines, stop, just stop. You're not even looking. I don't need to look. He turns to face me, and his expression is everything I feared. You're showing me fake documents and wild stories about secret fortunes? God, Ines, my mother was right. I don't even know who I married. The words hit like physical blows. These aren't fake. A 50 million euro art collection, hidden in a librarian's house? David's voice rises, and other guests glance our way. Do you hear how insane that sounds? David, please, just listen. No, you listen. He steps closer, his voice dropping to an angry whisper. My mother spent months researching your family, professional genealogists, legal experts, art historians. She knows the real value of your collection, and it's not 50 million euros. Then what did her experts tell her? Maybe 50,000, if you're lucky. Sentimental reproductions and family copies, probably worth something to the right collector, but nothing like what you're claiming. The casual dismissal in his voice breaks something inside me. So you believe her experts over official government documentation. I believe my mother over a woman who's been lying to me about her family's wealth since we met. David's words are knives. You called them family keepsakes, remember? Now suddenly they're national treasures. I watch my husband choose his mother's lies over our marriage, and something cold and final settles in my chest. You're right, David. You don't know who you married, but you're about to find out. In the villa's wine cellar, I call my cousin Carlos, the only lawyer in our family, my voice shaking as I explain Elena's manipulation and David's betrayal. Ines, breathe. Contract signed under duress can be voided, especially with evidence of coercion. Carlos's voice is reassuring. If she threatened you, manipulated the situation, there's legal precedent. Carlos, she threatened me, she manipulated everything. Relief floods through me. She had people in my house before I even signed. That's actually perfect. Prepositioned theft operations show premeditation. If you can prove she planned this before the signing, the contract becomes void due to fraudulent intent. Hope blooms in my chest for the first time in hours, so I can stop her. The pause on the other end stretches too long. Carlos. Ines, without proof of explicit threats, her lawyers will destroy you. She's been too careful, everything she did has plausible legal cover. The keys from David, the appraisal team for insurance, the moving trucks for protection. Unless you recorded her actual threats. My hope crumbles, I didn't record anything. Then legally, you signed a voluntary post-nuptial agreement. Even if we prove duress later, those artifacts could be sold and scattered across international markets before we get a court date. I hang up feeling more alone than ever. Elena planned this perfectly, every move calculated, every threat carefully worded to avoid legal consequences. But she made one mistake. She assumed I'd keep fighting this privately. 5.5 hours after our ceremony, I watch Elena work the remaining dinner guests like a master conductor. Her satisfaction radiating as she charms the mayor's wife and poses for photos with the cultural minister. Such a lovely celebration, she tells the Italian art dealer, her voice carrying just far enough for me to hear. Though I'm afraid Ines and I will be quite busy tomorrow with some family business. The international art market moves so quickly these days. Once pieces enter private collections, they simply vanish from public record. The casual way she discusses erasing my family's legacy makes my hands clench. She's not even trying to hide it anymore. Elena seems excited about something, observes Maria, my wedding coordinator, appearing beside me with champagne. She's planning a midnight treasure hunt, I say bitterly, watching Elena laugh at something the Swiss collector whispered. Treasure hunt. She's having my family's art collection appraised tonight. 50 million euros worth of Spanish national treasures, and she thinks they're trinkets she can liquidate. Maria's eyes widen. 50 million, Ines, that's. I know what it is. I watch Elena check her diamond watch, probably calculating when her trucks will finish loading. And by morning, it'll all be gone. Elena catches my eye across the terrace and raises her champagne glass in a mock toast, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. She mouths something that looks like, "Thank you, dear," and I realize she's thanking me for making this so easy. But as I watch her gloat, something cold and determined crystallizes in my chest. Elena thinks she's won because she's been playing chess while I've been playing checkers. Time to show her I've been playing a completely different game. Alone in the villa's chapel at midnight, I clutch my grandmother's rosary with trembling fingers, watching Elena's victory celebration through the stained glass windows. The weight of 5 centuries presses against my chest, every ancestor who died protecting what she's stealing tonight. My phone buzzes, another photo from Elena's appraisal team. This time it's my grandmother's bedroom, strangers rifling through the cedar chest where she kept her most precious manuscripts. The same chest where she taught me to read Latin at age 6, where she whispered stories of our family's survival through wars and exile. Enough, the word comes out like a prayer, like a promise. Abuela, you didn't hide our treasures for 500 years so I could let this woman steal them in one night. Time for justice. I stop playing defense. Elena wants a war, she'll get one. But not the private legal battle she's prepared for. Something public. Something that will expose her cruelty to everyone who matters. Something that uses her own arrogance against her. I stand, my grandmother's ring catching the candlelight, and for the first time tonight, I smile. Elena thinks she's won because she planned for months, but she planned to fight a victim. She's about to face a justice seeker who has nothing left to lose. In the villa's media room, I find Maria updating the slideshow for tomorrow's brunch presentation. Wedding coordinators, I've learned, have access to everything. Maria, I need your help with something that might get us both in trouble. She looks up from her laptop, taking in my expression. What kind of trouble? The kind where we use the villa's AV system to expose an international art thief during my wedding toast. I pull out my phone, showing her Elena's photos. I've been planning weddings for 15 years, and I've never seen a mother-in-law photograph someone's house without permission. Let's give your guests a real show. Maria's eyes widen as she scrolls through the images. Jesus, Ines, she's actually stealing your collection. 50 million euros worth. I connect my phone to her laptop, uploading the ministry appraisal and Eliner's incriminating photos. Can you set up a presentation that looks like a normal toast slideshow? I can do better than that. Maria's fingers fly across the keyboard. The villa's sound system records everything for security, if Eliner made any threats near the microphones. Hope flickers. She cornered me in the bridal suite, which has premium recording equipment for wedding videos. Maria pulls up the audio files, her expression growing grim as Eliner's voice fills the room. Those trinkets will be liquidated to protect the family's real assets. We work in silence, building my case slide by slide. Ministry documentation, Eliner's photos, audio recordings, FBI contact information, because theft of cultural artifacts crosses international boundaries. Ines, Maria says quietly, once you do this, there's no going back. Your marriage was based on lies anyway. I save the final presentation file. Eliner destroyed my marriage when she made David choose between his mother's manipulation and his wife's truth. He chose her. While transferring files to Maria's system, I discover something that makes my hands shake. My phone was recording during the entire bridal suite confrontation, a security feature I'd forgotten activating after my apartment was broken into last month. Eliner's voice crystal clear. I've been planning this longer than you know, dear, and by tomorrow, those trinkets will be funding my new lifestyle. And David's voice from our terrace argument. My mother spent months researching your family. She knows the real value of your collection. Months of premeditation, conspiracy, evidence of everything I need to destroy her legally. I'm uploading the audio when Eliner appears in the doorway, her smile predatory as she notices my phone connected to Maria's laptop. Working late, darling? She steps closer, her eyes scanning the screen. You seem remarkably calm for someone about to lose everything, dear. I hope you're not planning anything unwise. The threat in her voice is unmistakable, but I meet her gaze steadily. Just helping Maria organize tomorrow's brunch presentation. Family photos, you know. Eliner's eyes narrow, studying my face for signs of deception. For a terrifying moment, I think she sees through my calm facade. But then Maria laughs, covering beautifully. Ines has been such a help. We're putting together a lovely slideshow about family traditions. Your son married into such historically significant family. Eliner's smile sharpens, but she backs toward the door. How wonderful. I do hope everyone appreciates the educational value. The moment she's gone, I realize I've been holding my breath. She suspects something, but she can't know how much evidence I've gathered. At exactly midnight, Eliner finds me on the terrace where the last guests are finishing their champagne. Her phone screen glows with fresh photos that make my soul crumble. Such efficient work, she purrs, showing me images of my empty living room. Rectangular shadows on the walls where paintings hung for decades. Empty shelves where manuscripts lived. Strangers carrying wooden crates toward trucks in my driveway. It's done then. My voice sounds hollow even to me. Almost. She swipes to a video, live footage of men loading the final crate. My grandmother's jewelry box, the one that held her wedding ring from 1943. The trucks leave for the airport in 30 minutes. By sunrise, your trinkets will be safely stored in climate-controlled facilities awaiting proper valuation. The casual way she says, trinkets ignite something murderous in my chest. You sign my Post-Nup like a good little bride, so now those trinkets are legally mine to protect. By sunrise, they'll be safely stored awaiting proper valuation. Eliner's smile is pure venom. The international art market moves quickly. Once pieces enter private collections, they simply vanish from public record. She shows me shipping manifests, export documentation, even customs forms listing my family's treasures as decorative household items, valued at 12,000 euros total. 12,000, the number hits like a physical blow. Well, I couldn't very well declare their true value, could I? That would require all sorts of tedious paperwork. Eliner laughs, actually laughs. This way, everything moves smoothly through international channels. I watch 5 centuries of my family's legacy reduced to a customs form, and something inside me breaks completely. Not my spirit, my last connection to the woman who tried to play by Aliner's rules. That woman is dead, what's left is pure justice. 7.25 hours after saying, I do, I stand gracefully at the head table, champagne glass in hand, watching Aliner bask in her victory. She's glowing with satisfaction, probably calculating the auction prices for my grandmother's trinkets as she accepts congratulations from the remaining guests. The Mediterranean breeze carries the scent of orange blossoms through Villa Esperanza's terrace, where 300 of Spain's cultural elite wait for the traditional bride's toast. Ministers, ambassadors, art collectors, museum directors, all the people Aliner charmed tonight, completely unaware they're about to witness the exposure of an international art thief. My phone buzzes with another photo from her appraisal team. Empty walls where El Greco's workshop paintings hung for 5 centuries. But instead of despair, I feel something cold and final settle in my chest. My mother-in-law laughed as I signed her Post-Nup, so now I'll use my wedding toast to annul my marriage and sue her. I catch Maria's eye near the AV controls and nod slightly. She responds with a thumbs up, her fingers hovering over the presentation remote. The Spanish cultural attachés, disguised as wedding guests but carrying full legal authority, position themselves near the exits. Aliner raises her own glass toward me, her smile sharp with triumph. Such a gracious bride, she calls out, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. I'm sure everyone is eager to hear your gratitude. Oh, Aliner, I say, my voice carrying clearly across the terrace, I have so much to thank you for, especially your special interest in my family's heritage. You've been so thorough. The first flicker of uncertainty crosses her face, but it's too late. Justice is already in motion. Before I begin, I announce, my voice projected through the villa's premium sound system, I'd like to share something special with all of you. A document that perfectly captures the spirit of family unity we're celebrating tonight. Maria's fingers dance across the controls, and the massive screens flanking the terrace illuminate with the fraudulent Post-Nup Aliner forced me to sign. Every clause, every manipulation, every reduction of my family's heritage to minor decorative assets, displayed in crisp high definition for 300 witnesses. Aliner was so insistent that I signed this document classifying my family's heritage as minor decorative assets. I continue, my voice steady as a blade. She said it was just a formality. Aliner's champagne glass freezes halfway to her lips, her smile faltering as she realizes what's happening. Around the terrace, conversations die as guests focus on the screens, reading the legal language that strips away centuries of my family's legacy. Ines, Aliner's voice carries a warning, but I'm far beyond her threats now. She was particularly thorough about the liquidation clauses, I add, highlighting the sections that authorize her to sell everything. Notice how efficiently she planned to convert our family treasures into more liquid assets for protection. Such foresight. The Italian art dealer leans forward, squinting at the screen. These are legal documents. Signed 4 hours ago, I confirm, watching Aliner's face drain of color. Right after our ceremony, when I was still naive enough to trust family. David starts to stand, confusion and alarm warring across his features, but I'm not finished. The document revelation is just the appetizer. Of course, Aliner explained her reasoning so eloquently. I continue, nodding to Maria. I thought you should all hear her exact words. Aliner's recorded voice fills the terrace through the villa's premium sound system, crystal clear and unmistakably damning. I've been planning this longer than you know, dear, and by tomorrow, those trinkets will be funding my new lifestyle. The effect is electric. Gasps ripple through the crowd as Aliner's own words condemn her. The Swiss collector's wife covers her mouth in shock. The cultural minister's expression hardens with recognition of what he's hearing. Those trinkets will be liquidated to protect the family's real assets. Aliner's voice continues relentlessly. David understands, even if you don't. Aliner lunges toward the sound controls, her composure finally cracking, but the Spanish cultural attachés smoothly intercept her path. To the guests, it looks like concerned wedding attendees helping a distressed mother of the groom. In reality, attaches Martinez and Delgado are exercising their emergency authority. I think there's been a misunderstanding, Elena gasps, her voice shrill with panic. Those recordings are taken out of context. But her own voice keeps playing. I've spent 6 months planning this transition. Background checks on appraisers, coordination with auction houses, legal documentation, logistics planning. 6 months of premeditation, broadcast to an audience of Spain's cultural elite. Elena's face goes ashen as she realizes the scope of her exposure. Now about those trinkets, I say, my voice cutting through Elena's desperate attempts to reach the microphone. I thought you might appreciate seeing their actual value. The screens shift to display the official Ministry of Culture appraisal, the government seal prominent at the top. 50 million euros. Itemized documentation of paintings from El Greco's workshop, manuscripts predating Columbus, jewelry that survived the Reconquista. These trinkets include paintings from El Greco's workshop and manuscripts that predate Columbus, I announce, watching Elena's face cycle through disbelief, rage, and pure panic. Elena's attempted theft is now a federal crime. The cultural minister rises from his seat, his expression thunderous. Around the terrace, phones appear as guests begin recording, the magnitude of the situation dawning on them. This isn't family drama, it's international art crime unfolding in real time. The collection has been under ministry protection for decades. I continue, my voice strong with my grandmother's legacy. Any attempt to remove these pieces from Spanish soil constitutes theft of national heritage. Attaché Martinez steps forward, his credentials now visible. The collection is hereby under emergency protection of the Spanish Cultural Ministry. Any unauthorized transport will be intercepted. Elena's mouth opens and closes soundlessly, her perfect plan crumbling as she realizes the legal trap closing around her. My grandmother made me promise to never let anyone take what makes us who we are, and tonight, I keep that promise. But the trucks, Elena whispers, loud enough for the microphones to catch. The airport. Already coordinated with authorities, I say gently. Your efficient planning made it easy to track. Elena's composure finally shatters completely. With a sound like a wounded animal, she rushes toward the stage, her designer heels clicking frantically against the stone terrace as she tries to reach the microphone. You ungrateful Spanish bitch, she screams, her voice carrying across the stunned crowd. I made you part of our family, those trinkets belong to us now. The racist outburst explodes through the villa's sound system, broadcast to 300 witnesses who now see Elena's true character. Phones capture every word as she claws at the stage, her mask of sophisticated civility completely destroyed. You people always think you're so special with your old junk, she continues, oblivious to how completely she's destroying herself. David deserves better than some librarian's granddaughter playing dress-up with museum pieces. The Swiss collector recoils in disgust. The Italian ambassador's wife turns away in shame. Around the terrace, Elena's carefully cultivated relationships crumble as her words reveal the bigotry beneath her polished exterior. David stares at his mother in horror, finally seeing what I've been trying to show him. Mother, stop, just stop. But Elena is beyond reason, her voice rising to a shriek. 50 million? Those are copies, reproductions. I had them appraised by real experts. You're experts, I say quietly, my voice somehow carrying over her hysteria. We're planning to help you forge documentation for international sale. That's conspiracy to commit fraud. Speaking of conspiracy, I continue, nodding to Maria for the final presentation slide, I thought you should see what Elena's really facing. The screens display my lawsuit and annulment petition, filed electronically during dinner and already stamped with official court seals. Fraud, coercion, conspiracy to commit theft of cultural artifacts, violation of international heritage protection laws. Elena, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit theft of Spanish national heritage, Attaché Martinez announces, producing official credentials and restraints. As I speak, FBI agents are arresting your accomplices at my home. Elena's face goes white as she realizes the scope of the legal net closing around her. FBI, but this is Spain. International art theft crosses jurisdictions. Attaché Delgado explains, his voice professionally calm. Your coordination with American appraisers and auction houses makes this a federal matter. The crowd watches in stunned silence as Alina is officially detained, her wrists secured behind her back with efficient professionalism. The woman who spent months planning my destruction, reduced to a criminal being processed in front of 300 witnesses. The marriage, I announced to the assembled guests, is hereby annulled based on fraud and coercion. The post-nuptial agreement is void due to criminal conspiracy. David sinks into his chair, his face buried in his hands as the magnitude of his mother's crimes and his own complicity becomes undeniable. I remove my wedding ring as Alina is escorted away in restraints, her protests growing fainter as she's led toward the police vehicles now arriving at the villa's entrance. The Mediterranean breeze carries the scent of orange blossoms, but now it smells like freedom. My friends, I say, raising my champagne glass to the 300 witnesses who will carry this story across Spain's cultural circles. Tonight we've learned that some things truly cannot be bought, sold, or stolen. The crowd erupts in applause, not the polite wedding applause Alina expected, but the thunderous approval of justice served. Phones capture every moment as I toast my grandmother's legacy, now permanently protected from predators like Alina. My mother-in-law laughed as I signed her post-nup, so I used my wedding toast to annul my marriage and sue her, I declare, my voice carrying across the terrace with absolute clarity. To family legacies that can't be bought, sold, or stolen. The champagne tastes like victory, like 5 centuries of survival, like promises kept to grandmothers who trusted me to protect what matters most. Around the terrace, guests raise their glasses in solidarity, their faces reflecting the satisfaction of witnessing perfect justice. Alina's voice fades completely as she disappears into police custody, her months of planning destroyed by her own arrogance and greed. The trucks she sent to steal my heritage are already being intercepted, their contents returned to where they belong. I stand surrounded by Spain's cultural elite, no longer the naive bride who signed Alina's papers, but a woman who learned that sometimes the best defense is a perfectly planned offense. My grandmother's ring catches the moonlight, and I can almost hear her whisper, "Well done, Mija, well done." The wedding is over, but the real celebration, justice, has just begun. Ines, thank you for your raw honesty. Your story reveals that sometimes public exposure is the only way to combat deep-rooted deception and protect what truly matters. Was annulling your marriage mid-toast justified? Share your reaction in the comments. If this moved you, like and subscribe for more real justice stories. I'm Eliza Quinn, and remember, here on Wedding Day Justice, veils off, justice on.